Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Okay. Well, very good morning, guys. So last day we just been completed up completely about database programming. We just been talked about model first approach, and also I shown you how to use ADO.NET and interact with the data sources. Both the two things. Okay, model first approach as also, and using ADO.NET in our applications. Both the two things we just been completed up the discussion in the previous day. The next topic what we have here is filters. The next topic is filters. So what are these filters? Actually, in SQL Server, you learned about a topic called as triggers, right? So what is the trigger? Trigger is used for adding some extra logic, before a DML operation, before and after a DML operation. Means you are going to induce some extra logic that executes before the execution of a DML or after the execution of a DML. That's basically the idea of a trigger. Exactly. Filters are used for adding some extra logic. Filters are used for adding some extra logic before or after the execution of an action method, as well as before or after execution of an action result. Either an action method or a action result. See the process here. You call a method. A method executes and then it will go to result. View result, partial view result, like the redirect to route result. We have various different types of results. So we can add some extra logic and the logic will be executing before or after execution of a action method or before or after execution of a action result. That's what exactly a filter is. So it is used for adding some extra logic. There are 5 different types of filters: authentication filter, authorization filter, output cache filter. No, not output cache. Just a minute. We'll list you. Yeah. So 5 types of filters: authentication filter, authorization filter, action filter, result filter, exception filter. So what are the 5 categorizations? Let me tell you. So the first one is authentication filter. When will this filter execute? This filter will execute before the execution of an action method or any other filter. Before the execution of any other filter or an action method. What is that? To call a method, you should be authenticated now. To call a method, you should be authenticated. You're required to provide the credentials. So when should I ask you for the credentials? First only now, starting only, I should ask you for the credentials now. So that's what, before the execution of any other filter as well as or before the execution of an action method. Read the description. These filters run before any other filters run or action. Means, simply speaking, this is a first filter here. This is the first filter that executes. What is the second filter? What is the authorization filter? Authentication, checking the credentials. Then what is the authorization? Authorization means checking the permissions. Authorization means checking the permissions. See, I'm using in SQL, I used a grant command and given a permission for you to access my database. I given a grant command. I used a grant command and given a permission for you to access my database. You're a user. I'm another user. I have a database. I given a permission for you to log in into my database now. Logging into the database doesn't mean that you can do whatever you want. You have an access permission to the database. But after coming there, you cannot create a table. Did you catch my point or not? I given a permission for you to log in into my database. You log in. But after login, you want to create a table? Not possible. For that, I should give a separate permission. That's what we call as authorization. You see, a clerk, a manager, both of them have an access card to come into the office now. Both of them should swipe the card, enter into the office. Yes or not? Both of them. But who can sign on the company checkbook? Can the clerk sign on the checkbook? Why, man? Clerk is also authenticated. Na? Authentication is only verifying your credentials. Authorization will talk about permissions. Did you understand me or not? Authentication talks about credentials. Authorization talks about permissions. Whether you have a permission to perform an action or not is what we call as authorization. So both are two different subjects, authentication, authorization. So which one first? Authentication first or authorization first? After authentication, authorization. So that's why when will authorization filters execute? These filters are next stop authentication filter, and before any other filter or action method means first authentication filter, afterwards authorization filter, next other filters, action methods. That is the sequence. Okay. Next, action filter. As the name indicates, these filters will run either before or after the execution of an action method. Either before or after execution of action method. Trigger. When will a trigger fire? Either before the TML operation or this is also same. Either before the action method or after the action method. Next, result filter. Before a result or after execute. Different types of results are there now. You're rendering a view result. So before the rendering a view result or after rendering a view result. Otherwise, you're rendering a partial view result. Before, after. Exception. As the name indicates, these filters will run only when there is an exception in the program. Only when there is a exception in the program. Remember, listen, action filter. These filters run before and after an action method executes. Result. These filters run before and after action result. Exception. These filters run only if any filter or action method or action result throws in. There is an error in the filter only. There is an error in the action method. There is an error in the action result. Then only it will execute. Are you clear? Sir, what is this filter? It's a class. It is a, see, from day one, I'm telling you one point from C# also. In object-oriented programming, everything is a class. So all these are classes here. Authentication is a class. Authorization is a class. Basically, all these are classes. And see, you take authentication filter. The parent of this is an interface. What is the parent? I authentication filter. Authorization. I authorization. Action. I action filter. Result. Exception. I exception filter. Let's come from the top. MVC filters. In ASP.NET MVC, a user request is routed to an appropriate controller and action method. However, there may be circumstances where you want to execute some logic before or after an action method executes, or before or after an action result executes. And to achieve this, ASP.NET MVC provides filters. See, basically, we are adding extra logic. Remember, the idea is we are adding some extra logic here. Okay. Next, filters are used to inject extra logic at the different levels of MVC frameworks. Request processing pipeline. Request processing pipeline. What is the pipeline? See, in a pipeline, water flows in a sequence. Correct? Here also, the request gets processed in a sequence. First, a request comes. First, a request comes to the server. Server checks which controller, which action method, which action result. All these are going to happen in a sequence. First request comes to server. Server transfers to controller. Controller to action method. Action method to action result. Next, rendering. Output generation. This is what we call as a pipeline. Request pipeline. Okay, request processing pipeline, which provides a way for cross-cutting concerns like logging, authorization, caching. We can do all these type of things here. Logging. What is that? See, have you tried this in some of the websites? Banking websites mainly. You logged in today. You done some transaction. Again, you logged in tomorrow. And when you log in next day, it will show you your last login date is so and so date and time. Have you noticed it? You logged in yesterday at so and so time, it will show you. Again, day after tomorrow, you log in. Today's date will be shown for you now. Yes or not? So how do they do that? By using the concept of logging. Whenever an action method is called, immediately before the action method executes, the data is written into the database. So the user logged in at so and so time. Authentication filter. Which filter? You're authenticated. You're authenticated now. Now, once you're authenticated, immediately inside of the filter, I'm writing the code now. What code? When the user logs in, write this information to database. Are you clear? See, today you logged into the application and done a set of activities. First, you went for a balance inquiry. After balance inquiry, you went for a funds transfer. After funds transfer, again, you went for a balance inquiry. Are you hitting me? So you performed some sequence of activities. I want to record all those things. Tomorrow, you can just go to a bank and you're telling that I did not do a transaction. Then the bank will show you, array, you logged in at so and so time. After that, you went to a balance inquiry. Again, you went to a funds transfer. Again, you went to a balance inquiry. Then you performed a sign out. All these are action methods now. First, balance inquiry, you called one action method. Again, you performed a funds transfer, another action method. Again, balance inquiry, another action method. Again, log out, another action method. You called 4 action methods. What time these action methods are called, everything is recorded in the database. And all that is happened through the filters only. Did you catch my point? All that logic is present where? Inside of the filter, they write up the appropriate logic. And these filters will be without your knowledge. See, these filters will execute. See, triggers are there in database. Do we know they were running in the background? We don't know. We write an insert, but trigger comes into action, do something for you back in the back of the screen now. We don't know there is a trigger. Same way here also, we don't know there is a filter. Using these filters, we can do logging operations, authorization operations, caching operations. All these things can be performed with the help of the filters. We'll see them practically. Initially, ASP.NET MVC framework supports 4 different types of filters. What are those? Authorization, action, result, and exception. Whereas authentication filters are introduced in MVC 5. Anyhow, we are learning MVC 5 only now. So in MVC 5, we have 5 filters. What is the 5th one? Authentication. Earlier, we have only authorization, but we don't have authentication. Now we have authentication filter also. Okay, which allows to introduce logic at different points during the request processing pipelines. In MVC, filters are classes, and all these classes implement some interface. The following table lists filter types and interface which they are implemented. Those are the filter types, and these are the interfaces and the description for each and everything. And you read this description right now. You read all the things. When will authentication filter executes? When will authorization? When will action? When will result filter? And when will exception filter will execute? All the things are listed. We'll see them practically. Okay. See, by default here, Microsoft has given some filters to you ready-made. You can create your own filters. But some filters are given to you by default by Microsoft. What filters are given? These are the list of predefined filters here. These are the list of predefined filters provided by first one, output cache, validate input, validate anti-forgery token, handle error, authorize, allow anonymous. All these are predefined filters. All these are predefined filters actually. Did you understand me or not? We can use them directly in our applications. Apart from that, you can create your own filters. I want to create a logging filter. I want to create a logging filter. I want to create some filter, anything. I can create my own filters. So first we'll do one thing. First we'll look at all the existing filters and then we'll develop our own filters. Okay. So then you'll get a better idea. So what is the first filter, guys? Okay, I'll teach you. I'll start from the child action only. So what is child action only? Let's try to understand about the child action only. We'll start from there. Okay, now? So let me do one thing. I'll create a new project. We'll name it as MVC filters. I'm going with an empty project template. Eh? I'm going with a empty project template. I'll tell you why. Okay, I'm going with an empty project template because till yesterday we are taken with a MVC project template, and initially we went for empty. Now again I went for empty project template. Create. I want to configure NT framework DB first. I want to configure NT framework DB first, and two tables I want to pick: department table, employee table. Come on. Right click on models and just go for new item, data, ediva.net NT data model, test EF, EF designer from database, new connection, SQL server, authentication, SC 123, MVC DB, test connection. Okay. Yes. Department, employee, finish. Okay. You have a visual representation of your table. Now let us add a home controller in the project. Home controller in the project. Okay. Import the model namespace. Create the context class instance. What is the context class instance? MVC. Now tell me. MVC DB. Entities. In code first the name is entities, not data context. MVC DB. Entities. And now I want to write a method that returns me the department's data. Display departments, DC.departments. Another method that displays employees data. But coming to employees data, I have a small requirement, like what, coming to employees data, how am I expecting, I want to pass a department number and it has to show me the employees in that department only. Did you understand or not? I want to pass a department number and it has to show me the employees of that particular department only. It should not show me any other things. Okay, now? So, guys, have a look. Watch it. Display employees by what am I passing? I'm writing a query from E in DC.employees where D.did is equals to the ID select T. What it will get here? Employees corresponding to given department. And I'm just going to display them. Simple, two simple methods. Can you design the views for both the two things now? This has to display me the departments. Always we forget to do this. I enumerable watch. So displays me department's data. Same way, write a to display the employee data also now. Empty employee and I enumerable. Done. Just a minute, we'll run them. Let us see whether we have proper data in the tables first. Department has 4 records, na? 10, 20, 30, 40. Employees also should have some records in it. Select star from department. Select star from employee. Now we got some 7 records in the table. Okay, I'm expecting more, guys. I'm expecting more. We have an ident. Oh, sorry. But that is okay. But still we have an identity on that. Incorrect format. Just a minute. Select star from employee. What are the columns? ID, name, job, salary, DID, status. Stop talking. Concentrate here. What do you have? ID, name, job, salary, status is missing. Insert into employee. DID. Care value. Order is different. Just a minute. What is the order here? ID, name, job, salary. Okay. The table has identity. I dumped the data from one database to another database here. That's it. The table is in ASPDB. From ASPDB, I copied the data into our MVCDB. Why sequence missing? Just a minute. Just a minute. Truncate table employee. Okay. Some 25 records, what I just inserted into the table. Okay. Fine. How I'm inserting is none of your business here. You insert records into your tables. Okay. What I do is none of your business. So you just simply insert records into your tables. So first one, display departments, right? We have 4 departments, 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay, display departments. Same way, display employees by departments. For this, DID is equals to, I need to pass a department ID now, 20, something. DID is equals to 20. Yeah, getting the employees of 20. DID is equals to 10, 30, 40. Okay, now, so we just got it. Now, again, what is the first method? Display departments. What's this? It's showing you 10 DID, DNAME, location. Watch. Let me go to the view. I'm adding the 4th column here. TH employees. I'm adding one more column. Okay. Here, what should come, it should come the employees of 10 year, employees of 20 year, employees of 30 year, employees of 40 year. And to do that, you created a separate view. Remember, I'm going to call that view now. I'm going to use that view. @HTML dot action. Calling the action method. Calling the action method. What is the action method name? Display EMPS, comma, Next, route values. If at all you want to pass any route values, okay? How to pass new DID is equals to DEPT dot DID. Right, this is how you pass the route values. Every day you're passing now for edit, view and all, we are passing. You're calling this method. Which method? And what are you passing? And is a loop. So all the 4 times it executes now. See what happens. It is showing application name on the top. No? Just a minute. Come here. And it's all because of the what is it? Layout is equals to null. It is a layout, man. This is a layout. Top and bottom are introduced by the layout. But I'm telling layout is equals to, means I don't want a layout now. Watch. 10, marketing, Mumbai. Employees of 10. Employees of 20. Employees of 30. Are you clear how I presented the data? Yes or not? I written 2 separate action methods. I written 2 separate action methods. Called one action method from another action method. How do you call? I can call it by using action link will create you hyperlink. Action will call you an action method. You're calling an action method. Which action method? And for that you need to pass a route value now. What is the route value? Department ID is equals to, and you're passing the route value. And you see now, you're getting the data as expected. I hope everyone is clear. Now, which method I'm calling? Display departments, right? Can I call display EMPS by departments also or not? I already shown you. We can call that method also. Display EMPS by department and pass department number is equals to, and I'll get the output now. Clear? But I don't want this method to be directly called by the user. I don't want this method should be directly called by the user. Then how you want? I want this method to be only a child action. Understand English. I want this method to be only a child action. Means it should not be a direct action. It should only be a child action. See now, this DEPT is the parent. Under the parent, you're calling this as a child action now. Means this method execution should only be a child action, cannot be a direct call. Direct call should not be allowed. But see, it's working. Direct call is working now. Yes or not? Come on, guys. And to restrict that, I'm going to add a filter. I'm just going to use a filter. Watch. Child action only. Child action only. So this is a action filter. The filter executes before the action method. The filter executes before the action method. Verifies. What it verifies? Can it be a direct caller or a child action caller? You put a filter here. What's it? It should be a. So directly, if you try to call it, a filter will come and say, no, it's not allowed. Check it out. Come on, run this, guys. I'm running the display EMPS by DEPTS. Question mark, DID is equals to 40. Anything? Read it. Only by a, means a direct call is not allowed now. Now see, you added a restriction. You added a restriction. What is the restriction? Child action. What is this filter type? This filter is a action filter. This filter is a, when is it executing? Before a call to the action method and immediately stopping the execution, telling this cannot be done because this call should be only a child call. A direct call is not allowed. But call display departments. Execute, see. See there. What is their face here? Always confused face only. They're clearly visible now. You can see the output, but still always confused face only you have. See now, it is directly calling now. Sorry, it is calling as a child action. It is getting called as a child action. Check it out. It is a child action. But direct call is not working. Directly I want to execute this method, not possible. Understood now? Understood what is the filter? It introduced you some extra logic now when before the execution of the action method. Why, sir? Because this is a action filter. This is a action filter. Action filter fires either before the execution or either after the execution. Right now, this is a before. This is a before execution. The filter came now and stopped the call to it directly with the help of child action only. Understood the first filter? What is that? Child action only. Read it. From a view of another action method, from the view of another action method, we tend to use this filter to prevent action methods from being invoked directly. As if we try to do that, it will throw an error. And if you try to do that, it will throw you an error. We already saw, we got an error. Understood? Second filter, output cache. My second filter is a output cache filter. What is this output cache filter? This is a result filter, guys. This is a, and this filter executes after the execution of the result. After the execution of the result. Once, can you again tell me the request pipeline? What happens first? The user sent a request, comes to web server. Web server will send it to controller. How? Web server goes to route config and checks the pattern in the route config. Based on that, the control now comes to controller. After that, which action method are you calling? It goes to action method. Action method executes. And all action methods returns the same result. Huh? No, a different results. So from action method, it will go to view result. It will go to the view result. The view result will render the view, generates an output, generates a output. Finally, this output is going to be sent to the browser. Are you clear? I repeat my process again. Listen, the request first comes to which server? Database server. Huh? Then why are you eating words? Be clear in your answer. Which server? That's what the request first comes to web server. The web server goes to route config and it checks with the route pattern. It checks with the route pattern, matches the URL with the route pattern. Then it goes to the matching controller, goes to the controller which matches. Next, from the controller, it goes to action method, executes the action method. And finally, should render your action result. A result should come now. So then it goes to action result. Action result will be processed, means the view result or partial view, and all that will be rendered. All that will be, now rendering means you have some HTML text output now. That output will be sent to browser. If I call an action method 10 times, this process happens all the 10 times or only one time. I have an action method here. I'm calling the action method 10 times. Now, whatever I said will happen all the 10 times, only one time. All the 10 times. You call it for 100 times, all the 100 times. Are you getting me or not? Okay, because you recollect yourself, I said you already earlier also. Once the result is sent to the client, the connection between the browser and the server is terminated. The server don't know who are you. The server don't know who are you at all. Are you getting me? The server is clearly not aware who you are in this context. Once the result generation happened, the server purely doesn't know who are you. Is my point clear, all of you? Yes or not? Okay, so this is what happens to you in this case. This is what happens to you in this particular context. So what now? See now, 10 times calling, 10 times executing, 100 times calling, 100 times executing. But it is the same thing which is happening every time, again and again now. Yes or not? Okay. To overcome this particular problem, we have a concept called as caching. We have a concept called as caching. What is this caching? Caching is a mechanism of storing the rendered output into the memory so that it can be used for the next request without reprocessing again. Are you clearer or not? See, once the output is generated, the output is sent to browser now. Once the output is sent to browser, what happens? Everything is cleared on the server. Everything is. That's why if the request comes again the whole story happens now. Are you getting me? But I have a concept called caching. What is the caching? See, there is a huge request for this page here. There is a huge request for this action method. For every second, 1,000 people are requesting now. 1,000 times the processing should be done here. Are you clearer or not? Same data, same processing, same result, but happening for 1,000 times for every second now, which can be a burden on the server, And to overcome this particular problem, we can induce the concept called as caching. So by using cache, what you can do? You can store the output in the memory for some period of time. How much time? That is your choice. You can tell how much time you want. I want to store it for 5 minutes. I want to store for 5 minutes. So from the point the output is cached, the next 5 minutes, whatever requests are going to be coming for that action method, without reprocessing, it will send a cached output to user. Did you catch my point or not? What will it send? The cached output will be sent to the user. So that what happens if the users are trying to request, suppose for 1 minute, 1,000 requests, right? For 1 second, I have 1,000 requests. For 1 second, I have 1,000 requests. So for a minute, we have 60,000 requests. For 5 minutes, we have 3 lakh requests. 3 lakh times the server should process the output for you. You understood now? If I use caching now, I can minimize these 3 lakhs to 1. Are you clear? But sometimes you may have a doubt like, sir, if the data is sensitive in the data in the sense, if the data frequently changes, maybe within this 5 minutes, data can change. Yes or not? Reduce the time. Make it 1 minute. 1 minute means for 5 minutes, it is processed for 5 times. Are you getting me? Array, where is 3 lakhs? Where is 5 now? Yes or not? Still minimize here. 10 seconds, take it. Take it for 10 seconds. Means for 5 minutes, 30 times. That's it now. Per minute, 6 times. Per 5 minutes. Now also see, 3 lakhs, 30. How much huge variation you have? How much burden is decreased upon the server? You understood now? Yes or not? That is the beauty of caching. Are you clear? When caching should be happened? After the output is generated. After the rendering is completed. Means before the action method, after the action method, before the action result, after the action result. After the action result. After the action result only output is generated here. This is a result filter. This is a child action only is a action filter. This is a result filter. And child action only is a before filter. This is a after filter. After. Are you getting me? Okay. So let us see practically how to do caching in our code. How to do caching. Yes, to do this, I just want to create a new table called as a customer table in my database. I'm creating a customer table in my database. Few columns here: customer ID, name, balance, city, status. Okay, just a few columns. Now I want to insert some records into the table. Insert into customer. Select start from. Watch, guys. I have some records in the table. Is that clear? I have some records in my table. 14 records are there. Let me add you one more record. Insert into customer 115. Some name. Balance 25,000. Chennai. Single code is missing. Chennai. Status 1. Values. Okay, I have some table now, customer table, which has 15 records in it. Is that clear? There are some 15 records inside of the table now. Now, I want to write a method, a simple method that is going to fetch the data. Simple here, display customers, DC customers, giving error. Why? We did not select the table. We did not select that table. That only. Last day, I was explaining about this only, guys. You want to add the table here now? Right click, update, not add, update model from database. We'll open you the window. See, now you want to add a new table, correct? Tomorrow, this type of changes also can be done. What is it? After adding a table, there is a new column added in the table now. Then go to refresh. Then go to refresh. Right now, this refresh is just showing you the two tables to refresh. No need. Why? Why we did not make any changes? Suppose tomorrow a new column has been added to department now. That column should come here now. Then refresh. Understood or not? Same way, you can just use a delete to delete anything and add, freshly add a new table. Which table you want to add? This is how you can add new tables going forward. Customer is a new table, what I want. See now, you will see a visual representation of the customer also on screen. Okay, now, understood? So this is how new tables can be added. Okay, done. So come back once build your project. For God's sake. Okay, come to the home controller. Error is vanished. You don't have an error. Okay, now let us create a view for display customer now. Right click, add view, empty, customer. Enumerable. Okay, watch this carefully, guys. Table. In the first row, I am just going to write some code here. Request processed time. When the request is processed, how I'm getting datetime dot now dot to string and a T indicates time. Means show me only the time there. Otherwise, you can call datetime dot now dot to short time string, to long time string. I explained all those things. This is another way. How to write? Lowercase t is hours and minutes. Uppercase team is hours, minutes, seconds. Got it? This is another style of formatting the time. Formatting date and time. Okay. Or otherwise, sir, you're comfortable with the old fashion. What is that? Dot to short time string. To long time string. I explained all these things to you. To short date string, to long date string and all. You can use that also. Afterwards, I'm displaying all the columns and values. And here see, coming to status, if the status is true, I'm showing, otherwise inactive. Otherwise, I'm showing inactive. I'm writing a if condition for that to display the status, active and inactive. Okay, now? Fine, guys. Run this and see the output. Right now, all are in active state only. So everything will be shown as active. Are you clear? And watch here. When is the request processed? 12:13:48. Okay. Now refresh the page. Time is changing or not? Why I put that, to understand here, every time you refresh or send a request to the server, the page gets reprocessed. See there. Time changing or not? Means now 1,000 people are hitting the server now. 1,000 times the server is going to process the page for you now. Are you clear? See, for every second I'm clicking on this. Processing now. Are you clear? Okay. Every time I click, you can see the page is reprocessed. Are you guys clearer? But I want to eliminate this. What do you want to do then? I want to do caching. I want to use caching. So if I use caching, so reprocessing of the page is not going to happen now. Are you clearer? So shall we add the caching into the code now? Okay, we'll add caching into our particular code. Okay, so watch guys. Come to home controller. Leave this method here. I don't want to just touch that method. Leave that like this on it. I am writing another method, guys. Display customers to. And here, I just want to use it, the attribute. What is it? Output cache. Output cache. Okay. When I use this attribute, this is going to do me the caching now. This is going to do the caching. And all of you observe, it requires some attributes here. What is it? Duration is equals to how much time you want this caching to be. I want 45 seconds. I want to do caching for 45 seconds. It will accept the time in seconds. If you want 5 minutes, write 300 seconds there. Okay, now. So 45 is what I'm passing here. Okay. So the duration. And the second attribute is location, where you want to cache the data. There are multiple options, guys, where you want to store the data, and all are defined under one enum called as output cache location. They're defined in the enum. What is the enum name? Let us import this namespace, guys. Using web.ui. Under that, we have output cache location enum dot. It'll give you options to you. None. Don't do caching at all. Downstream. Just a minute. First one, any. Let the server decide. Let the server decide where to cache. It can be cached on the server, or it can be cached on the browser, or it can be cached on a proxy. Load balancer. Remember, we learned about web form architecture. In a web form architecture, the request first comes to load balancer. Load balancer will redirect you to a web server. In the web form architecture, we have a middle component, load balancer. We just call it as a proxy. So first option is any. Server decide. Client, I am telling, cache it on the client machine. Downstream, cache it on the load balancer. Nothing but a proxy. See there. None means no caching. Cache it on the server. Server and client also. You can tell all the details. Okay. But I'm using, sorry, not client. Server. Duration and location. Okay. So guys, now let me add a view for this now. Add view. And I want to tell you the design of the view is exactly same as the previous design only. Copy display customer one view as it is and place it into display customer. No difference here. As it is, I'm just using the same. Run. See, which method are you calling? It's not one, it is two. And two has caching in it, right? How much time? I'm refreshing the page. Watch. Time is not changing. See, page is refreshing. Concentrate here if you want. Page is refreshing, but time is not changing. When will it change, sir? After 45 seconds, it will change. After 45 seconds, it will change. Means 12, 19, 28, 45, 32. Okay. Somewhere at that particular point of time, 18 now, 37. 37. It 12, 19. Okay, guys, observe. Changed, huh? Again, from here, calculate 45 seconds. Until then, you refresh, you do anything, the time is not changing. Means it is not reprocessing. It is not reprocessing. Are you clear? We have a set of attributes. We have a set of attributes that can be applied on the output cache now. What is the first attribute? Second attribute is location, where you want. Now still have other attributes also, guys. What are the other attributes? Watch, guys. I'm writing another action method. See this, look at this one. Just a minute. Just a minute. Concentrate on this. Display customer 3. What is the difference between 2 and 3? In 3, you are showing, in 2, you are showing all customers. But in 3, you're not showing all the customers. What are you showing? Only customers based on a city you're showing now. Only customers based on a city you're showing. So that's why here, see, I'm writing a query to get only the data based on the city now. If I pass Hyderabad, it will show employees of customers of Hyderabad only. If I say Delhi, customers of Delhi only. Are you clear? Okay. What is the duration? 45 seconds. So guys, now add a view for this. Copy the view data as it is, paste it. Okay. Well, now just answer my question. You're passing Delhi. You want the output to be generated and cached. Correct? Huh? Next, you're passing Hyderabad. Next, you're passing. Now, until 45 seconds, you will wait for Hyderabad data to come. Huh? You have a caching on this. Correct? Huh? Understand me carefully what I'm telling. You first pass it Delhi. Data is cached for Delhi. Correct? Now you're passing Hyderabad. But already data is cached for 45 seconds now. So until 45 seconds, the output won't change. Are you getting my point or not? But it is Hyderabad, sir. You know, I know. But system cached something and the cached output will come now. Are you getting my point or not? You pass Chennai. Wait 45 seconds. Afterwards, you'll get the second output. Again 45 seconds. Then you'll get the third output. It is wasting the time now. Are you getting me? No, not like this. What are you expecting? I want one copy for Delhi. I want one copy for Chennai. I want one copy for Hyderabad. Like this, I want a separate copy for each city now. Did you understand me or not? Means if I have 6 cities now, 6 cache copies should be there, not 1 cache copy. Did you catch my point? Then we should use this attribute. What vary by param is equals to city. Did you understand me? Watch, all of you. Just watch. Question mark. City is equals to Hyderabad. It created a copy with showing you Hyderabad data. Remember the time, 12:23:41, right? City is equals to Chennai. It creates a separate copy, 12:23:54. Hyderabad copy that time, 41. Again, come back and try Hyderabad. Check it out. This is a separate copy. Oh. 54, huh? Separate copy. It created a separate copy now. For Hyderabad, 1 copy is created. Chennai, 1 copy is created. You want to use it, Delhi now. Another copy is created now. Delhi. Clear. Kolkata. Mumbai. Understood, all of you? Again, I am coming to Hyderabad. I hope that 45 seconds would have been completed. Let's say another copy came up into action. Understood vary by param, all of you? Yes or not? Vary the data based on the parameters. Suppose tomorrow your action method has 2 parameters, not only city, comma balance something. I have 2 parameters. Then here you can write vary by param city, comma balance now. Did you understand me or not? See, your second parameter is decimal balance. So you pass 2 values now. What is it? City and balance also. Understood? Here also city, comma, I can write like this. Vary by param. Understood the 3 attributes? First one, very pretty clear here. What is the first one? Duration. Anyone can easily understand that one. Second one, where you want to save. That is also simple. Where you want to save. Save it on the server. Third one is vary by param. Hope you guys are clear. Next, we have one more option, guys. What it is? Guys, I can vary it like this also. What is it? I'm trying with Google. I'm trying with Microsoft Edge. I want to get some output. I'm trying with Internet Explorer. I want to get a different copy now. We have an option vary by custom and a browser. What's the attribute, guys? Custom attribute now. What is that? Means browser to browser, it should vary now. Did you catch my point or not? Means if I try from Google Edge browser, 1 copy, the same thing should be. If I try from Internet Explorer, another copy should come. That is called vary by custom. You can use your custom parameters also like this. So watch. Right click and view. Display customers. Same design. All these views are same design. Only what I'm changing is the attributes I'm changing there. That's all. Methods are also fetching the same table data. Only I'm trying to demonstrate you different attributes. Now I'll run this. Display customer 4. Yeah, you got some time, and this is cache now. Now, if you have Internet Explorer on your machine, open Internet Explorer, you'll get a different copy. So, we'll get different copy in Edge. Let us see. For edge, am I getting the different copy? No, same copy came. Yes or not? Because Edge and Chrome both will use the same engine called as Chromium engine. Edge and Chrome will use a same engine called as Chromium engine. Even though they are manufactured by two different companies, both are same only. Did you catch my point? Edge manufactured by Edge manufactured by Microsoft and Chrome manufactured by Google, but still both are same. If you have Internet Explorer on your machine, try it. Mine is the latest Windows. I don't have Internet Explorer on my machine. It's outdated. Latest version, you can't have Internet Explorer. So if you have Internet Explorer, try Edge, try Internet Explorer, you'll see different timings. Did you catch my point or not? Okay, so that is what we call vary by custom. You can define your own custom attribute also like this. So what I'm telling, vary by custom, based browser to browser, change the output. Separate cache copies will be created. Okay. Next. Fine. We are telling all these attributes in the CS. Duration is 45 seconds. Everything working fine. We're able to see. But tomorrow, client is thinking to increase the cache size. Client is thinking to increase the cache time or decrease the cache time. When after hosting this in the production, client users, end user complained for something, and it is taking a lot of time to refresh. The data in the database is changing, but still 45 seconds of time it is changing for me to see the new data. This is what the end user complained to client. Client means, understand the terminology. You're a developer. You develop application for client. Who is your client? The business organization is your client. I'm developing an application for a bank. Bank is my client now. Are you clear? And who will use this? End user. End user won't complain to developer. Will end user come and tell me? End user will raise the complaint to the client. Client will raise a complaint to you, developer. Got my point? So end user complained. So client has came to me asking, why don't you decrease the cache time? Why don't you decrease the cache time? Make it some 20 seconds. Because end users are complaining that they need to wait for a long time for seeing the new updated data. Decrease the time. I can do it. It's not a big deal. But understand here, if I make this change in the CS file, I need to redeploy the application back on the server. Are you ready to wait for all the time? I need to go for making the change. After making the change, see, basically, you know, understand about three things here. Environments. Three environments here. Development environment, staging environment, production environment. What is development environment? When we are developing an application, that's called developing environment. And in this stage, developer can access everything. You have the complete. Is this accessible to client? No, it's not accessible to client. My machine here, client cannot access. Second is staging. What is staging? We moved from the development to staging environment. In staging environment, developer can access as well as client also can access. Means basically that is a test environment. That is a test environment. We develop the application on the machine now, put it in the staging and give the URL to client and tell you please go through the application, check it out whether you are getting the correct output or not. If everything is fine, if you say okay, we will push it to production. Then onwards, end users can access. And that's called as a production environment. In production environment, developers can access, client can access, end user can access. You understood? In development, only developer can. Staging, developer, client. Okay, na? Production, developer, client, end user. All can access it. These are the 3 stages now. Now my application is in production now. You asked for a change. You ask for a change. Okay, I can make the change. First, I will make the change on my system now. I will go for a unit testing, whether it is working perfectly or not. Then again, the code moves to staging. The code moves to staging. In the staging again, the client has to test it and say, yes, everything is fine. I'm okay with it. And then we move to production. Easy talking about it. But do you know all this takes how much time in the real time? It's all a process. It's all a process. Simply, I cannot come to the office. I'll not go to the office 9 o'clock and I cannot move this to a production by 10 o'clock now. It takes 3 or 4 days to complete all these activities now. Understood my point here? I need to raise a request. I need to get an approval to move to staging. Again, from staging, the client confirms. Once the client confirms, again, I need to make a request to my management. To what is it? My manager telling client has accepted the changes, move to production. And the manager has to approve it. Once the manager approves, the DevOps team should now move to production. Are they waiting for you? Everyone free sitting for you? When you send a mail, immediately respond and immediately happening this? It won't. Are you getting me? So to bring a change, minimum 3 to 4 working days will be required in the real time now. Change can be a simple change, but see how much time you have to wait. Are you clear? But this change here, just only a time change. For this, wasting 3 or 4 days is unnecessary. Am I correct? So better store this information in the config file so that simply you can update the config without again coming all the way here. Did you get my point or not? Where to maintain this type of data? And you remember about the advantage of the config file now? Already said you, config. When application is running also, you can modify the config and the changes will immediately reflect. It doesn't take much time. Client asked you, just change the time. Change the time. So you can immediately open the config and update the time and save and close it now. Means you won't do directly. Client will request you. And when client request, you will make a request to the DevOps team. The DevOps is basically responsible for deployments and all the things. Okay. The DevOps team attaching the client's mail. So just requesting, please change the config. Please change the config file. In this scenario, within a day, your work is done. Just a simple change. The DevOps team has to open the config file, make a modification, save and close it, and reply it is done. No need any further approvals and all, because who sent a mail? Client sent a mail directly to me. So this mail, if I forward to the DevOps team, that is enough. Why? Client only requested. Are you getting my point here? So this becomes easy. So better to maintain this data in a config file than putting all the things in the CS. You're not putting it in the CS now. Putting in the CS, what is the problem? A big process for changing and moving the code to production now. So to avoid all the things, the better place is to write in the config. Are you clear? So shall I put all this information in the config now? Okay, I'll put all the information in the config. Just a minute. Before I do that, I'm adding a new method, guys. Same only 5. Okay, now? And add a view for this also. Add view. Same again. Copy and paste. Guys, observe, I did not use any caching here. I add a new method. What is the new method? And this is as same as the display customer 1. We did not use caching here. If you want to use caching, how to use caching? Output cache. But just now I said you the problem. Tomorrow changes takes a lot of time to come into action. So what is the best place to do it? I said you. Go to the config file, put all the details in the config file. And when you store that information in the config file, give a name for that. Now bring that name and put it on the top of the action method. That's it. How to write in the config file, sir? Open web.config. And in the web.config, under system.web, we have an attribute called caching. Output cache providers. No, guys, I'm writing wrong. I forgot the keys. Correct only. Output cache settings. Oh, this tag is wrong. Caching, output cache settings. I used the wrong key. Next, output cache profiles. Output cache profiles. Add. Name is equals to, give some name, guys. Any name you like, no problem. Give some name for this one. My cache profile. And now here you can add all your attributes. What attributes? Duration, location, vary by param, vary by custom, whatever you want, add them. Duration is equals to 45. Location is equals to server. I'm just putting up these details. Again, watch, guys. Caching under that. Output cache profile. You can create multiple profiles like this now. One profile 45 seconds duration, one profile 60 seconds duration, one profile 30 seconds duration. For every profile, give a separate name now. Are you getting me? What is your profile name? My cache profile. Okay. Just before I use that, once I'm running you display customers 5 and showing you, there is no caching here right now. Which method I'm calling? See, this is a new method I added for you right now. Okay. And here, do I have caching? No. So if I refresh, time will change. Changing or not? If I refresh, the time is going to change for you every second. Understood my point? Okay. So just come here and write down output cache. Cache profile is equals to, what is the name, guys? That's it. My cache profile. Tomorrow you want to update the time, duration, location, anything. Where to modify? Web.config. No need to come to the CS now. Directly you can do it in the config file. Okay. Come back again. Run. Now, caching has to be applied now. Again, watch what I'm calling display customers 5. Refresh. Check there. Not changing now. Why? Caching applied on this now. Hope you guys are clear. Read, guys. Just a minute. If you want, create it here. Shall we create? What is it? Shall we create? If you want, create. You can create. I'm telling you, you can create any number of profiles there. Whatever profile you want, use it. For every profile, you will do different settings. Your time can vary, duration can vary. Sorry, duration can vary, location can vary, vary by param, you can vary anything. For everything, a separate profile. Use the profile in your code. That's it. Read it. Output cache. One of the best ways to improve. Did you understand the main point first? It's one of the mechanism to improvise the performance of your applications. Understood? Next. We can reduce hosting server and what is that? My request goes to hosting server, web server. Web server contacts the database server for getting the data. All this can be minimized now. Next. You can do it on an action method or the simple, guys. If you write this on the top of the controller, all methods are cached now. What should I write, sir? What did I write on the top of the action method? Now write it on the top of the controller. If you write on the top of the controller, what will happen? All the action methods are cached now. But I don't want all the methods here. I want only one method to be cached. So write it on the top of the means you can apply this action method level as well as controller level also. But applying controller level is not a best option. Tomorrow 10 methods are there. All 10 caching not required for me. I want only a particular method to be cached. I don't want everything to be cached now. Writing on the top of the controller is waste of time. But option is there. Action method. Okay, on an action method or on the whole controller. Okay, next. Explained everything to you already. Yes or not? What? Duration I explained you. Vary by param, vary by custom, location, and finally cache profile. All 5 attributes I shown you. Mandatory attribute, location if you don't give, default is any. What is the default value? Any is the default value. Default is any. But I want it to be server. Means any in the sense, I'm telling the decision can be taken by the server. Let the server take the decision where to store. Are you getting my point here? Okay, default value will be any. But I can change to whatever I want. And finally, just now I explained you about the cache profile and what is cache profile. All 5 attributes I just demonstrated to you. Is it clear? Next. Header in the sense that is methods you need to understand. Get method, post method and all. Means cache the data only in the get method. Cache the data only in the post method. Get and post are there now. Vary by header is equals to get. Means cache the data of get. Vary by header is equals to post. Get the post. Cache the data of post action. That is what vary by header is. It's not important, but if you want, you can use that also. Vary by header means just you can use the appropriate thing. Did you understand me? Vary by param, vary by, I did not mention vary by custom here. Vary by custom. Okay. Yeah. Am I clear what is vary by header? You can tell which method should be cached. Post method, get method, put method. We'll learn all these things in Web API in much more clear. I did not tell you about all these things in detail. I only said you getter and post, but we have put, delete and all. I'll tell you, we'll talk in Web API. Okay. Next what? Validate input. No, Redis cache is not same. That is different. Store the cache profile in DB and access in the action top. Did not understand. What will you store in the DB? You will store the profile name. Huh? If you want to store the profile name, okay. But profile data should be in the config file only. The question is, can we store the cache profile in database? What you can store in the database? You can store only profile name in database. First, you should create the profile in config and the names can be stored in the database and come to your code here and on the top of it, just assign the value that is loaded from the database. Okay, you can do that. But don't think like you can store the cache details in the database. No, that should be in the config only. Understood? You can only store the names in the database if you want. The cache gets cleared after the time is over. The cache gets cleared once the time is over. Okay, or otherwise recycle your worker process. You remember recycling the worker process? Task manager, right click on W3 WP.exe and just say end task. That will recycle the worker process. Once you recycle the worker process, automatically the cache is also deleted. Okay, but you set a time period. Once the time is over, automatically cache will be deleted from the memory. The next filter is validate input. What is this validate input? Validate input means right now I have a view and the view has a text box. I can enter the value in the text box and click on the submit, and the data in the text box is sent to server now. We've done it number of times. They're sending input to an action. Now tell me, there's a text box to enter name. There is a text box to enter the name. I can enter anything there. I'm talking with you only here. I can enter anything there. Correct or not? Tomorrow, I will enter English characters, it will take. French I'll enter, it will take. Japanese I'll enter, it will take. Whatever you enter, it will take. You enter HTML characters also, it will take. HTML tags. You write some JavaScript code there, it will take. Why? You said that the text box, I type anything, the value will be taken now and stored in the database. Are you getting my point or not? So whatever I enter, it is going to take it. Are you clear? Okay. Let me demonstrate you first, and then I'll tell you what is the problem with that. Guys, have a look. I'm writing two action methods here. Get and post method, that's all. First method. Get comments, post. View result, string. And this is going to read the data from a text box. What is the text box name? TXT comments. Right click, add a view. Create a form, guys, with a text box and a submit button. Watch. What do you have? Begin form. Label comments. Next. Text area. What is the name? And that is the same name you are used in your code now. So whatever you enter in the text area will directly come into the parameter TXT comments. And then you have a submit button. You have a submit button. Run. And what I'm telling, whatever you enter in the text box, it will accept now. No restriction. Am I correct or not? I'm entering English. Yeah, click on the submit. See there. You enter the data in French, Japanese, Chinese, whatever you know, type it there and click on the submit. That will go to the server. Are you clearer or not? Okay. Tomorrow, because it is a text box, I have a chance to enter anything now. Suppose tomorrow I'm entering some HTML tags like this. Takes to the server. Suppose I'm writing some script code. I'm writing a JavaScript code. Takes to the server. Are you clear what I'm telling you? Understand the problem here. Tomorrow you can write some malicious code here and send off to the server now. You can write some malicious code and send off to the server. You can write some virus code to hack the server and send it to the server now. And that code will tomorrow go to the database and it can track the complete details from the server now. You can write some dangerous code and send off to the server. So to restrict this, if you're working with any other technology, even you're working with a Java JSP or PHP or otherwise ASP.NET Web Forms, ASP.NET Web Forms. To restrict this, you're required to write some serious coding on the server. Means after reading the values, you're required to check for all the malicious content in the code now. You're required to check for all the malicious content. Does it contain any script tags or not? HTML tags, all these things should be explicitly restricted by writing your own logic. Did you understand my point or not? You're luckily working with MVC. Why I said you're lucky, I'll tell you. But if you work with any other web technology like Java, JSP, or PHP, or Python, okay, or even ASP.NET Web Forms, in all these technologies, to restrict this one, you're required to write all the logic on the server. Before the data is saved to server, you need to write the logic. And MVC provides that free. Potential dangerous request. Form value was detected from the client. What you entered is this one. It doesn't accept any HTML tags. Today it is simple HTML tag, but tomorrow you'll put a script tag there and write off some malicious code. Now be careful. It doesn't. MVC framework does free for you. You don't require to implement any logic for that. Okay. Read this paragraph, all of you. You will understand what I can do by writing some script or something. What can be done? You read it here. You'll understand it. Cross-site scripting. CSS or XSS attack is a very common and is well-known attack for what do you call? Cross-site scripting. Also called as a CSS attack or a XSS attack is a very common and is a well-known attack for example, a CSS or XSS attack is basically the result of poor form validations. How CSS or XSS attack works is, at first, the hacker does inject some HTML code into a HTML input field. And the data along with the HTML tag is saved to the, I've done some script code here that is saved off to the database. Now, when there is a need to display the data in a user interface, then we will get it from the database and the legitimate browser will parse it as HTML code. If the hacker then injects a normal HTML string, then there is no problem at all. But if he then injects harmful JavaScript code from an input field that might steal valuable information from the user's computer, but we are very sure that we never want to allow a user to inject a HTML element through a form now. Yeah, we don't want to allow it now. In traditional web form applications, we use a form validation script in JavaScript very often to validate user input, whereas in MVC, the library has done all the job for us. So we need not validate or write lengthy code externally. In MVC, by default, it prevents the HTML elements as form data. Anyway, we can use the validate input attribute to prevent HTML explicitly in the way. Even though you don't write it also, that is already using a filter. What filter? This filter is already applied, which can be used either on controller or you'll have a doubt now. You did not use, no, sir. How is it working? That only I'm telling you. Even you don't use it. That is already applied. What is applied? Validate input to true is already applied. That is by default on all the action methods. No, sir, I want to allow. What do you want to do? I want to allow HTML. Then use the same validate input and write false. Did you catch my point? Now use the same validate input and write it as false. See, watch. No need to write separately, comma. Validate input false. Observe. Now the input validation is not done now. because the input validation is not performed. I'm writing some bold tag. Sorry, guys. A bold, an underline tag, and I'm writing hello world by underline by bold. Click on submit. It is passing as HTML content now. Understood? But tomorrow users can send a dangerous script to you and the script will steal the details on your computer now. Are you getting my point? Okay, what we called as CSS attack. It is called as CSS attack, cross-site scripting. Okay, cross-site script attack is what we just call. So to restrict that, you need to write all the code manually on your own if you're working with the older technologies. But MVC provides that for you free of cost. Free of cost, that service is available to you. Even if you don't write that on the top of your action method, default validate input is true. Did you understand me or not? What did I write now? False. But tomorrow, why do we write this is, you return the application, you left the company, someone comes into that place, the person to understand, for the person to understand, we write this to tell there is a validate input on this. There is a validate input on this. Are you clear? And I'm telling you, if you don't write also, this is default. Are you clear with the third filter? What is this filter now? Tell me. Action filter, result filter. Action filter. It is a before or after. Before. Ray. You're sending an input to it. Validating and just stopping you. The method is not executing. Understand? The method is not executing. Means before the action method only, the filter came into action now. Are you clearer or not? So this is also action filter, and that too before action filter. Understood or not? We learned about 3 filters till now. What are the 3? Child action only. This is a before action. Output cache. After result. It is a after action result filter. Third one. And this is again before action filter. This is also a before action filter basically. Are you clearer? Still we have handle error. We did not use exception handling in the code till now. For web applications, we did not use a exception handling. We can do it by exception handling by using a handle error. Then we'll talk about authentication and authorizations also. Okay. So after that, we will create our own filters and also see how they work. Okay. Let's stop there, guys. We'll continue tomorrow.
Recording stopped.